On this episode of AV Week, we are live from the NSCA's annual Business Leadership Conference in beautiful Dallas, Texas. We have a number of integrators, programmers, and manufacturers talking about the industry, the economy, and how we get young people interested in AV. All that and more, next on AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
AV Week is brought to you by our fine group of underwriters, companies like Extron. This is AV Week, episode 235, recorded Saturday, February 27th, 2016. Live from the BLC 2016.
Ready.
AV Week.
Performing scan.
Week.
Online.
This is AV Week. AV Week. This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of audiovisual news and information. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host. We're doing this live from the BLC, the NSCA's annual Business Leadership Conference. So we're going to do it in a couple different parts. First up, Rogina from Spinatar. How are you, sir?
Fantastic. Thanks
that
for
sounds
having
like
me.
an immigrant name.
You know what? This is Brock McGinnis. He is not an immigrant. He's an alien.
Correct.
From Canada. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Good to be here.
And last but not least, Frank Pisano. That's not an immigrant name at all.
Not at all. No, it's a good
Chief.
Irish name.
He's from Chief. Yeah, anyhow, we're going to talk about what we're referencing here in a second, which is immigration, right? Which is the economy. It sounds kind of silly for an AV podcast, right? But one of the favorite things that I come away with this event is Dr. McPeter's talk every year. It's unfortunate that this seems like this is his last year. He's retiring from Arizona State, but he gives us all a really quick, succinct economic outlook. One of the things he talked about, though, was immigration, and not from a political standpoint necessarily, but explaining labor supply and labor demand and stuff like that. Jay, we'll start with you. Based on what Dr. McPeter said, where do you think the AV economy is and maybe where we're going?
Well, part of it, great question, because, right now you look at the first quarter of this year for us, it's fantastic. And it ended fantastic in 2015. Now, the beginning of 2015 was difficult, and when you hear what he talked about last year, it didn't feel like it was going to be that way, and felt it was going to be much stronger. We ended strong, so 2016 for us really looks like it's going to be one of those breakout years, and it kind of shows in some of the things that he put up. And our challenge is finding the right talent to put it through the funnel. We're getting it in the funnel. Okay. You got to put it through the funnel, and it's all about the people, and it's a challenge to find those people.
All right, Mr. McGinnis. Kind of some other question, but I also want to get into how do we find those people?
Finding people is one of the biggest challenges of our industry, and I think that the NSCA Ignite Committee and initiative nailed it. Young people coming out of colleges and trade schools don't know about our industry. We're not visible, we're not readily identifiable, and they don't know of us as a career option. And yet, some of the skills that they're learning in other programs, in computer sciences programs, in robotics programs, and even some of the traditional trade programs, actually transfer well. NSCA suggesting to us that we get off our butts and go out to those schools and educate the students on us as an alternative. We're a fun place to work.
We are.
And we get to, they get to deal with cool technologies, and their buddies may all have iPads at home, but we get to control stadiums with iPads. And the cool factor is in fact there. We tend to be pretty stable businesses. Not a lot of layoffs. There's always lots of work. Our employees enjoy a fair bit of overtime during the summer. Probably not when they prefer to enjoy it. but people make good livings, and all I have to do is look in our parking lot to know that we've got a lot of people making very good livings, and they're going to have long-term careers. We are plumbers. We support businesses. We support universities and colleges and other institutions, and that need for our support will never go away. Whether it's at the installation, initiation end of systems, or simply keeping systems running and solving problems, we're a good alternative for people coming, including people coming out of the military.
Yeah.
I think we think of folks in the military as all about guns and tanks, and the reality is the military uses some of the most sophisticated electronic systems.
That's where we get a lot of our electronics eventually.
Correct.
It really is.
Yeah, it is.
So there are either people that were involved, with actually driving those electronics, or they've simply used in the course of their jobs, and their jobs may have been logistics and all of the other things that the military offers. So it's we just need to get up off our butts,
right,
and become the face in front of individual students, saying, "Hey, we're a good option."
And real quickly, I want to make one clarification. It's not just trade school and community college. I think either Mike or one of the Ignite committee said, also career counselors at high school level, right? As these kids are doing, getting into the sophomore, junior, senior year, trying to figure out what it is they want to do with their life. Folks like Jay and you and even Frank, as from a manufacturer level.
Even me.
I didn't mean it like that, but most manufacturers don't do recruiting like that, do you?
So we've had to try to echo what Jay said, we've had some exceptional growth in our organization. So we have been in hiring mode, and it's been nice because it's not replacement mode, it's true growth mode. So, Brock's absolutely right. This is a fun place to work. I probably laughed harder these last 3 days.
Well, and kind of explain to people where you've been the last couple weeks.
Oh, well, I guess I'm glad this isn't on video because I do have quite the tan right now. But, and trips to Cancun, those do exist if you're, with President's Clubs. And if these folks are successful in their endeavors, they get to go to fun places. But it is fun. These people at this conference are a blast. We've had a tremendous amount of, it's just people buy from who they like, but they also just enjoy being together. And this group is a tremendous amount of fun. And we got to hire new people, new blood into it. Yeah. But this conference, I have been to it many, many years in a row. It does seem to be getting younger. There's a lot of we're seeing a lot of that more influx in our organization, bringing in some younger talent. And it's some high energy folks that are helping us get to that next level.
Well, and explain to us, because Frank, you're with Chief, which is part of Milestone.
Right.
You guys are a sponsor of this event.
Yes.
So why?
We've been a sponsor of this event for a long time, but I think NSCA they truly care about your business. They help us with market data, with trends. I can always pick up the phone and call Chuck or anyone on the board and get good information. They truly want to see your business get successful and get to that next level. But there's a great mix of people here too. You got some of the largest integrators there are. You have some smaller integrators that are in some parallel markets. So it's a great networking opportunity for us. But the content at these events is tremendous, and we take a lot out of it. It's definitely helped my professional development over the last 5 years.
Well, Jay, let's bring that part around. We did a special yesterday with Chuck and Mike Hester, the outgoing president, who gave a wonderful donation of $25,000 to start a scholarship for veterans, to kind of Brock's point. We're doing this on Saturday. You're going to fly home Sunday or Monday. You're going to get in your office, and you're going to look at your people that aren't here. How do you disseminate all the stuff that you've gotten over the last few days to those people?
Wow. You start with the notes you've taken and kind of disseminate it throughout part of the organization, and that's not really, there's some value there, and they kind of ask some questions and so forth. But we have a leadership group that we meet once a week that I'll share all of it with. And one of my leader, part of the team is here, Dan Tompkins, and he'll be part of that as well to kind of help me share and disseminate all the different things that we learned, whether it's the economic stuff, which is extremely important, but the networking piece of hiring people as well, how people are doing it. And as Frank said, there's a lot more younger people and a lot more women in the industry here this year, which I think is fantastic. I mean, it just it says a lot about how fun we are and can be at the same time. The other part of it is I have daily huddles with my teams as well, and I'll usually disseminate a little bit of that, bits and pieces of that every morning. I've got 7 teams, and we do a 10-minute huddle with everybody, and that's a great place to kind of get some of that information and direct them to a website or a product manufacturer, another competitor, friendly competitor, that type of thing. Get all Brock's tricks here, and if I can learn from them, I will, and I do every time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually a really good idea because you're taking bite-sized pieces.
Bite-sized pieces, yes.
Every other day. So, Brock, same kind of question. How are you going to spread the knowledge you've gained here to your folks?
Once upon a time, I used to be the only person from my company that came here. We have 2 other leadership people here that are both in the Gen X generation. They're the future leaders of the company. Mostly I'm going to listen to them and find out what they felt was important. The problem with having been in a business for a long time is that we get a little bit stale. And it's great to come to a conference and get some new ideas. And we have been through times at Westbury National where, it's like, oh gosh, Brock just came home from a conference. Now everything's going to change. And that's not positive either. And, we are making incremental steps. It was interesting during the rating of our risk tolerance yesterday. Mm-hmm. The 3 of us had exactly the same ratings. And I actually found that positive. We are very much looking at a new generation of people becoming the mind and control of the business. And it's not like Andrew Ford and Guy Wallace and myself are going away anytime soon, but the market is changing. The employees are changing. The customers are changing rapidly. And so we need new perspectives on how to solve problems, how to address people, how to deal with the market. So mostly Patrick Svensson, our operations manager, and Ken Peters, one of our project managers and future star, current and future star. I'm going to listen to them and find out what their takeaways are, and they will probably be the ones who will do the trickle down to the rest of the organization. And we already have some good takeaways out of this, I think. And one of the benefits of being a Twitter user is that most of the best points that have been made at this conference are available on hashtag BLC 2016. Photos of slides, comments of participants. I don't have to take notes anymore. Twitter takes my Twitter takes my notes for me.
That's great.
And Frank, are you in the same?
Absolutely. No, and I'm maybe slightly younger than these 2 gentlemen, and I'm probably the later to the Twitter game than they are. But I agree with Brock.
And that's ironic, just for the record.
Yeah, exactly.
That you're younger later to Twitter.
Did you say moronic?
That sounded very Canadian accent of me for this.
No, so I'm using the hashtag BLC 2016 too, and taking notes on that as well. So it does work. I didn't take any, and even if you go to past a few days back, you'll even see a picture of the winning golf foursome from this week. Which 2 of the 3 of us, not Brock. I won't mention the 2 winners of it, but Brock was not one of them.
Wow. All right, I think we're going to wrap this up before I don't know which one of you would get throttled. Jay, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
How do people find your website or your Twitter or email?
Boy, you're going to ask my Twitter.
Never mind.
I had to look it up the other day.
www.spinatar Spinitar.com.
There you go.
Spinitar.com.
There we go. Frank, thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
You can just give Chief's website if you
I'll
like.
give our absolutely brand new website, which is both brands, Milestone and Chief, and it's www.milestone.com.
All right, very good. And Mr. McGinnis, thank you, sir.
You know you don't have to use the www part.
Yeah.
Yes,
now you
we
tell
know
me.
that.
I mean,
We're
Yes,
at
sir, sorry.
We're at westbury.com and need a new website. I'm at Brock McGinnis on Twitter, and encourage anyone who ever has an opportunity to come to an NSCA Business Leadership Conference. This is not a big business conference. This is not an executive conference.
Yeah.
It's a very diverse crowd from the low voltage industry here. There's lots of security, fire and safety integrators, and a wonderful group of people who will share the things that are making their businesses work, the products that they're having the greatest success with other attendees, and it's certainly why I've been coming here for years.
All right,
Amen. Good.
Thank you guys so much. We'll get you out of here and get the next group in. All right, now we are joined with three more folks. First and foremost, Bruce Kaufmann, President and CEO of Human Circuit. Welcome, sir.
Good morning, Tim. Thank you.
Also with us is Dawn Kurtze, Director of Sales of JAVI.
Hi, good morning.
And Ashton McGinnis. Sounds familiar. AVI Systems, your official title is Marketing Specialist.
Correct.
Welcome.
And if you were paying attention, yes, Brock and I are very related.
Yes, that is her uncle.
He's my uncle. Yes.
Uncle Brock. I'm very jealous of that, by the way.
Me too.
He's a good uncle to
He's
have.
awesome. Yeah, he would be an awesome uncle. All right. Actually, Ashton, we're going to start with you for a couple of reasons. First of all, there was a couple sessions that happened yesterday. One was the multi-generational one, talking about baby boomers. I don't think anybody ever mentioned Gen X in that session, which is, forget you guys. We're still here. And then the millennials, of which you are part of, and then even the Generation Z, which is after you guys, which somebody said yesterday starts graduating next year, which is scary.
A little scary.
Yeah. You're a Randy Vaughn winner for NSCA, so and this is your first time here. All of those things put together, what are your first impressions of this event?
Of the event or of that session that we were
Of the
in
event,
yesterday?
and then we'll get into
Okay.
the session, because actually Dawn and I sat relatively close to each other, and that's, I grabbed her afterwards and said, I want you on.
So my impression of the event so far is that it's been just fantastic. I had high expectations coming in. The reviews out of last year were incredible and over the top, and when you hear stories and read things like that, you think, how can they top it? How can the information be that good 2 times in a row? And so far it's met every expectation and exceeded some. As a young person in the room, it is a diverse conference. The way it had been positioned to me is that it was an executive conference, that it was a leadership conference, and it is that. But I also have had an opportunity to speak, to learn, to contribute. So it's not just for executives
To come.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Dawn, we talked about the multi-generational yesterday, and what were some of your takeaways from that session?
I think that was a very mind-opening, thought-provoking session that assisted me in really a new avenue of how to even think about communication. I'm right on the cusp. I consider myself Generation X, of course, but sometimes I also identify with the millennial group. But as someone who brings in talent to my organization, and am hiring those that age group, and having to, make sure that the standard of excellence of an organization is being upheld, I found it very valuable to just see how the different in thought process, and how does that relate to how I'm going to move forward.
Yeah. All right, very good.
That's good.
Bruce, you guys are an integrator out of Maryland.
Right.
What are some of your challenges, and have any of those? Have you found any solutions this week?
Well, I'd love to say we found solutions. No.
Okay.
It's all thought-provoking things. You talked earlier about the finding talent out there. The education piece lags. There's a lag time in it, even if we get very aggressive with it. We've gone to the technical schools before, trade schools for integration talent, those types of things, and you're able to bring some of that in. But trying to get experienced people in the design side, for example, and sales, those aren't the people you can grab really out of school. There's some CAD time that has to go there. So, yeah, there were no miracle cures this week. Thought-provoking nonetheless. We've got to go back and constantly reassess, and it's needle in a haystack type stuff for the people that we're trying to use. And we're sort of niche and boutique to begin with. Okay. So if we were a $100 million company and had 400 employees, we can pick from a lot of talent. We can't. We're very pinpoint, very laser focused. So it's a little bit tougher for us. We have sort of a double dilemma.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Question that I've asked a couple different times this week. You didn't bring your entire organization, Bruce, right?
Yeah.
So how do you take this conference and bottle it up and take it back to your folks?
Yeah, it's interesting because Brock said earlier, there's the same situation with me, and I have my CTO with me this time, so there's at least 2 half brains anyway to go back collectively and think about this. But every time I'm a member of Vistage, which is a C-level group, to brainstorm and use them as your board of directors, and I've done a lot of these types of things. And my staff dreads the moment I walk back in from one of these things for years. It's like, oh God, he was at this thing this week. What's he going to throw at us now?
Yeah.
Brock said the exact same thing. So what I've done very carefully is I take my notes, I go back and I refuse to talk about it for a month. I will literally, there's nothing at any of these things that I feel like if I don't act on it tomorrow, it won't get done. I'd rather take my notes, put them off to the side, wait a month, let it ruminate, fine wine, let it age just a little bit. And it's amazing what you end up tossing out. And the stuff that really floats to the top after that month, then that's obviously stuff that you really felt, will stick. So Jim and I will brainstorm on that and sort of make it and twist it into our own, sorted tale of how we should progress and maybe some things we should go after and stuff. But it is a rumination process.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Ashton, the other side of that, right? This is your first event, so it's unfair to say what have you done in the past. But think about yourself going back to work on Monday or Tuesday even. How do you think you're going to be able to express what you've learned, not only to the people that you work with, but to those that are above you that aren't here?
Right. So yeah, I'm in a really privileged position. My whole team is here. The people that I work with day in, day out, we're here together and we're talking about stuff already. How we bring it up, that's a great question. So the session that we were in yesterday, the multi-generational workforce discussion, that was so valuable for me because I learned about a few of the misconceptions that happen from older generations about younger generations. I feel like I know myself, I know my friends, I know my age group, and when I see things in the media and I read these articles, I know what's right and what's not. But understanding that my perception of my generation is different than others' perception of my generation. So I learned a lot about the challenges communicating up. I don't have answers, I don't have solutions, but I have a lot of thoughts. And I feel like I've learned a lot. So how to communicate up. We've already taken highlights from this conference to incorporate into our national sales meeting, themes, ideas. So that's not just disseminating up, it's disseminating out to our entire sales force and then out to our technical teams.
Very good. Dawn, what are some of the things that you're going to take away from this?
I think absolutely my communication style will change with the people that report up to me that are of the millennial age group, and I'm blessed to work with some very talented people in that age group. But I think I understand now that I was making assumptions about what expectations, about what someone else might think of as a standard. And I'm going to throw that away and start fresh and lay out what I need and, continue to foster a team that can really grow.
Yeah.
So I have no problems. It's funny, I have no problems, perceived problems with my employees that, are around my age group or older. But I think this will really help me communicate moving forward, and also probably when I bring talent in of the younger generation. So very exciting.
Are you Are you excited about Generation Z now?
It's funny because if you'd asked me 2 days ago just about millennials, Generation Z, it was kind of, ugh. But today I feel like there's just a misconception. I just didn't understand how differently someone else might see what I view as the unwritten rules that we discussed. Okay, so now I don't think it's at all. I think I didn't get it before. So now I'm excited to change my approach and be able to have more focused communication and outcomes.
But I'll tell you, as a millennial, my sister is of Generation Z, and as a millennial of this, future adaptive workforce, I don't understand Generation Z. I'm already struggling to understand the next generation. So it's not just a boomer, Gen X to millennial. It's everyone.
And I think that's multi-generational in general, right? I mean, my kids are on the back end of Generation Z, and they've grown up with technology, and this, that, and the other. And my nephew is on the leading edge of that. He was born in '99. So, it's understanding them and how they communicate, right? Somebody said yesterday, it was one of the speakers said, you have to figure out how they want to communicate. You can't assume that that the phone call is the most professional form of communication. The most professional form of communication is how they prefer, right? Is how they want to be communicated to. So I think that's a huge one right there. So all right, Bruce, thank you so much, sir.
Absolutely.
How can people find you or?
With a GPS. No.
You have a tracking device.
I have my own pin. It's right here in the back. No. Anyway, humancircuit.com. We're also at Human Circuit 1 on Twitter, and both myself and the company, both by name, are on LinkedIn. So pretty easy. Facebook, same thing. So,
all right, very good.
Appreciate it.
Dawn, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. How do people find you?
We are at javi-llc.com.
Okay, very good. And Ms. McGinnis, how do people find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Ashton_AVI, or on our website, avisystems.com, or in person at our upcoming technology showcases.
Yes. What's the next one?
The first one is in Detroit.
Yes.
And we're heading to Cincinnati, Chicago, Minneapolis. So
it's a
busy spring.
It's a great tour, and if you're in that area, you should go.
And we'll be there too.
Can we talk about the brain?
We can talk. We can do a teaser on the brain.
Okay. There's a big brain. That's all I'm going to say.
His name is the Giant AV Mega Brain.
And you can ask them questions.
He's all-knowing.
Yes. It's freaking awesome. So, all right, guys, we'll let you get out of here and get our next group in. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
All right, we'll wrap this up with two of my favorite people that are here at this show. Started with Brock, one of my favorite people. Brock is a great, what we called him at one of the events, the AV Sage, because he has so much experience. As he puts it, he's made enough mistakes that he knows which ones not to make again. But Steve Greenblatt from Control Concepts is here. How are you, sir?
Doing great. Good to be back. Good to see you.
And Mike Shinn from IMS, who has a brand new title.
I do indeed. Vice President of Customer Relations
Yay.
for IMS Technology Services.
Very good. And you're on the education board for NSCA. Talk for a second about Ignite. I think Brock mentioned it earlier. Mm-hmm. Give me kind of a big, overarching explanation of why you guys started it and what you're hoping to achieve with it.
So Ignite was actually started about 2 years ago by the NSCA Educational Foundation Board. They came up with the concept that they were struggling, as we all know in this industry, to draw in new talent, young talent, to be able to be the next generation of integrators, not just with AV, but with systems contracting in general, security, networking, IT, and being able to attract them to our niche market, separate from going to work for the Ciscos and the Polycoms and what have you. So the idea was to start a grassroots effort to help get the word out, educate the public that this is a valuable industry. This is a industry that has a lot of potential in terms of your own income and your own satisfaction with your job and your career, because so many students are in a similar boat of here we are trying to find the talent, and here are a bunch of recent grads trying to find jobs. Why can't we match these together? So Ignite's plan, Kelly Perkins, Lori Englert, and I were brought onto the board specifically to bring some fresh air to the way that the board was thinking about how do we go about recruiting the young talent. And so we're heading up this initiative, and the Ignite mission is to help integrators in their own market to go get out the word, put the word out there, make relationships with institutions that can be feed schools, so to say, for your company and the rest of the industry. So we're going to be the marketing backbone to support those integrators. We're going to actually have a board of integrators that are involved with a complete communicative approach to this whole thing, making sure that everyone is on message, on point, we're all talking the same things. And we're targeting not the students themselves, we're targeting the educators. So we're looking at the STEM educators, or we're looking at the technical trade school educators, or college professors, frankly, to let them know that this industry is out there, because from our perspective, it all comes down to the relationship. And students, Gen Z and the younger generation, they're not going to guidance counselors saying, what am I going to do with my life?
Yeah.
They're going to their favorite teacher and saying, what am I going to do with my life? The math teachers, the science teachers, the computer science teachers. So that is the heart and soul of what Ignite is. Ignite wants to target those teachers. That's who we're marketing to. And we want them to know about the industry so that when that student comes up and says, I don't know what to do with my life, they can say, have you considered audiovisual? Have you considered security? Have you considered IT? So that's our pitch, and we're hoping to ignite the industry. But we're also, we've gotten massive positive feedback from our presentation on Thursday night. And Thursday night?
Thursday night, yes.
Yes, Thursday night. What day is it?
8. Yes.
And we've already gotten about 45 integrators that have signed up. And
Wow.
they've said, we want in, we need this, we want to help you. So it's hopefully going to be very symbiotic, and we're passionate about it. We're excited and can't wait to hit the streets and start to recruit some people.
Yeah, very good. Steve, talk for a second, because you and I have talked on air, off air, about the issues with recruiting, specifically about programming, right? I mean, the Control Concepts is an independent programmer house. Does that make sense? I mean, does it make sense to attack on the educator and the front line there?
In a big way. And I think we've spent a lot of time in hiding and not proud of what we do, and feeling like we're kind of these lost people that just fell into the industry, or were maybe the geeks in school. And now what we do is mainstream, and everybody walks around with AV all around them. And I think that if we market it and we make people aware that there is a career that you can get into where people enjoy themselves, where people are very passionate, where people stay in the industry for so many years, and where it's lucrative and you have fun, and you get to be part of a community, and it really is a niche, and it's still a small industry. And I think educators probably are very unaware, even though they use it all the time, how to direct people to get involved. I mean, one of the things that I think is an opportunity too is to go to universities and talk to them about their work-study students. Who are the people that support your systems that are there for work-study, and do they like it? And is it something that they want to do moving forward? Some of the I've talked to you off air. I just hired somebody, and thanks to you as well, because he listened to AVNation, who was working on supporting systems. And
you may want to rethink that hire. Just
he was that excited and took the initiative to reach out, but didn't know where to start.
Yeah.
And I think having a starting point and a place to go to get information, I think is going to pay off huge.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, a big $1,000 question I've asked several times this weekend. Mike, your former position IMS was operations. You have people that report to you. You have talking to people and stuff like that. Your owners are here as well. As you guys leave Dallas and head back to Philly, and you're deconstructing all this, with the exception of the fire hose analogy, which is obvious, and you don't want to do that to your people, how are you going to disseminate all the information we've got this weekend to your folks?
So I think that we have this somewhat well figured out in terms of how we get that information out.
You guys have been coming here a long time.
Yeah, John and Jill, our owners, have been coming for, I think, about 7 years at this point. This is my third BLC. Okay. But I had the distinct pleasure of accepting one of the EIB awards, and it was about employee engagement and employee empowerment, which that entire concept of what won us that award came out of last year's BLC. One of the keynote presentations really inspired us and forced us to think about what can we do to take this excellent information, this really company-changing information, and then turn it around and disseminate it. So I will take a slightly different approach to what Bruce Kaufmann was saying before. I would say that the very first thing that we do when we get back is we meet. So we have a meeting next week where we will sit down and we're going to compare all our notes. Obviously, we've been talking, sidebar throughout the week, but you get so absorbed in all those different conversations that, like you said, it's drink from a fire hose. You need some time to just process it. So we get to sit and review with the schedule in front of us. What did we take away from each one of these events? And you're going to take away 10%, 5% of the total information, but even just that little bit is something that you can then take and look at your own company, your own processes, your own communication styles, and go, how do we change this for the better? What do we do to move things forward? And then you kind of build initiatives that last the year around those concepts. So it's not something where we just come back, to Brock's point, where we just come back and we change everything. Like, that's not what we're looking to do. But we are looking to say, in a structured manner, through initiatives and through the management team understanding what goals we have, these are the points that we want to try and build into the business. And it's not another thing, it's not just the three of us going back and saying this is what you're going to do. It's then the next meeting and the next meeting and the next meeting. So it starts with communicating to the management team, and then the management team starts to communicate with their team, and it's a filtered down approach to get those concepts across.
Yeah, very good. Steve, what are some of the things that you're going to take back and kind of spread out to your folks?
So I think a lot of it was learning for myself and learning how to maybe approach things differently, and learning how to some of it was reinforcing some things that I have heard, but that's also valuable, but learning how to address and build the business for the future. And I think that I may not be sharing the specific content from the event, but I think I can use it to act upon it. So I guess a good example, and this has been discussed before, but is the communication styles and the working with different people in your organization, and that's a challenge that we're all going to face. And I think that if those of us that can get out in front of it and that can feel comfortable, and I just think the understanding of other people is a help. And so what I'm going to do, hopefully, is to get my team to understand how the younger generation thinks, and maybe those some of those conflict areas that exist, I can help to smooth them over by just encouraging them to somehow meet in the middle, or at least explain each other's position. Get people to the table so that they're working together and they're not frustrated by each other's actions and personalities. But it's, we're always good stuff, and you learn just as much from talking to other people as you learn from the speakers.
Absolutely.
And I think that there's tremendous value in that, and the networking and the relationships that you can continue to move forward with, I think, is tremendous value. And that's the challenge for everybody, is to keep in touch and to make sure that you make time to take some of this material and some of these conversations beyond the conference.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I was impressed with my very first year was, I think Jim Ford was on the stage on the Thursday night, and it was the utter freedom to share, right? I mean, these are large and small organizations. These are folks that have been in it for 40 years and 5 years, but everybody that I've met with, over the last few years that I've attended this event has been more than willing to share their triumphs and their failures and what they've learned from both. So yeah, it's a great event for that. So, gentlemen, thank you so much. Mike, how do people find you or IMS?
You can fax me at 610-361.
Oh my!
No, I'm kidding. Of course.
Do you really have a fax machine in the office still?
Unfortunately, we do, because there's several vendors that, and a couple customers that still send POs via fax. Yes. Yeah. Thankfully, our fax machine turns it into an email and it lands in somebody's inbox.
There you go.
Yeah. So I am at AXP Mike on Twitter. I'm all over LinkedIn and Facebook and every social medium there is, and you can find the company at imstechnologyservices.com.
All right, very good. And Mr. Greenblatt, how do people find you and Control Concepts?
Controlconcepts.net, which we will be having a new website by Infocom, so look out
Really?
for that. A little preview.
Very good.
Yeah, possibly even some new messaging and branding. And
see what happens when the guy gets married?
Right?
Everything changes. She comes in, changes the drapes, and the flooring.
Oh, that's been done already.
Mr. Greenblatt who recently got married, so congratulations.
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you.
Giving you a hard time. But go ahead, sorry.
And social media at Steve Greenblatt. Keep it easy.
All right, very good. Thank you so much. My name is Tim Albright. Don't follow me, but go by the website if you would, please. Lots of really great people spent a lot of hard time and work on it. It wasn't me. AVNation.tv, AVNation.tv. You'll find this program and a host of others. We have a brand new residential weekly show called Resi Week. It records on Mondays, posts on Wednesdays. So check that out. We'll have a brand new State of Control sometime soon, I'm sure.
We will schedule it before we leave.
When Steve and I both get back in the office. So yeah, AVNation.tv, AVNation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. That is all the time we have for AV Week.